Okay, YouTube says I'm alive. Hello, welcome. So we're going to continue off where we'll continue from where we left off last week. Uh, Sorry it took so long to do the next part, mostly because every time I was like, yeah, I can go stream now. Um, well, someone was at home, or someone's plans changes. So much so I didn't know I was streaming today until I got told that they'd got called into work. So it's like, oh, sweet, I can go. Anyway, so from what I remember about what happened last time is we had the ball kept slowing down. So I've said that the dampening is now 0. This will mean that the ball shouldn't have any air resistance and therefore shouldn't slow down as it moves around. We also had the ball falling. I put gravity scaling to 0, but only on the spawn ball, not on the dampening. So yeah, it didn't work. I should also split this out into like a function that spawns the ball rather than what I'm currently doing, only because I keep changing one and then not changing the other, and it means that the starting ball has different properties than the ball that's starts. Anyway, it's not falling. There's no gravity. It's not slowing down. The ball is spinning. We probably want high dampening on the. Oh, that was weird. That's interesting. Okay, so it seems to be because the ball can spin. It's when it's spinning a particular way, it's like consuming the momentum, and now it's just going to bounce forever up and down. So it kind of worked, but we need to somehow lock the axes. Nope, don't open Discord. How do I do that? Alright, well, I'm first going to spawn the ball off into its own thing, because, as I said, I don't want to change one and not have it affect the others, so. I guess we'll call it spawn ball in, and we're going to give it, so we want to go, we need you to have access to commands, which is going to be a middle reference to commands. And then, I guess start, which is going to just be a vector. And then that will simply pull this. It must be this. Yeah, no, yellow is the correct spot to stop. That's the end of the match statement. Okay, yeah. So we'll cut that, and then we paste that in here, and we say we cut that bit out, and we just say that we probably want the whole vec new bit. Alright, then we just say that is start, and then we just say spawn ball in with a reference to commands, and that is our vector. Then we can do exactly the same thing here of just removing all of this except the if statement. So then we want to go spawn ball in start is a vec no. Do I have one too many? Syntax error. Closing yellow. No, that one's red. Pink. Gen 1. Gen 2, pink. Why is that not working? expected x. But there's no comma. Alright. So why the fuck are you saying y? That's... it's really bizarre. Okay. Let's cut that then. And go... now what's your problem? Expected 2 arguments found 0. Yes. 0, 0. Like so. Expected. Okay, so you expect nothing to be returned. Okay. Right, so you're gonna need the asset server and the bowl size. Okay. So well, that's easy enough. Ball size, which is just an F32, and the assets server is not going to be a res, but just a reference to asset server. Okay, so that would mean we just want to go ball size asset server. Ball size asset server, like so. Now to work this one out. Why does that not work? Probably because I cut the if statement off. That would make sense. If that, else that. Okay, there we go. So that now means that the doesn't matter like which one spawns, this controls the ball. So we have our start, our coefficient, linear dampening. So we want to say like lock axis rotation. Okay. So that should in theory mean that the ball can no longer get stuck. If that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but you know. So the idea is that the reason the ball was getting stuck before is because as it's spinning, if it hits the edge, it sort of like consumes its momentum like that. And apparently because it's locked, it just actually absorbs all its momentum. That's weird. That's bizarre. Why are you doing that? This is one of those annoying situations where I feel like I should just do my own physics system, because clearly real physics doesn't work for Pong, because it just immediately clipped into the object and stopped. So maybe if we found the walls, move paddle, no, we want to spawn game scene. So this is our top wall, bottom wall. Okay, so friction. Coefficient of friction. If we say 0 friction, I don't care about your combine rules, so default. Expected 1, what? Alright, so restitution. No, now I've got 2 restitutions. So the restitution means that all energy is preserved when it hits. friction should mean that it shouldn't try and impart any kind of gripping force. Because I think that's what's happening, is it's not just bouncing off, it's sort of sticking to, and therefore it just absorbed all of the energy because it had no rotation potential. Like it wasn't allowed to rotate, which means that if you can't put a physics moment or like an angular moment to it, it just literally stopped. Well, I mean, it kind of worked, but again, it's absorbing the energy. Maybe it's because the ball still got friction. The ball needs a friction coefficient 0. And I believe it's a coefficient because it's 2, like, you know, both objects. So we had a 0 and a 1, which means a coefficient of a half. So maybe that's why it took 2 collisions to stop, is because instead of having 100% of the friction it had last time, it had 50% of the friction. Okay, well, kind of worked. Yep. Okay. Okay. So we just needed a frictionless environment between both the ball and the walls, and you know, we have a game of Pong, a very rudimentary game of Pong, but a game of Pong nonetheless. Okay, so that's working Pong. Also, you'll notice in theory the paddles still have friction, which means that it's very, very distracting to play this. The paddles still have friction, which means that I can somewhat control the ball by, if the paddle is moving when it collides, it will impart some of that momentum. So if I'm moving up when I hit the ball, it'll go up. But if I'm moving down when I hit the ball, it'll go down. Oh, phone's ringing. I'm gonna quickly take that. How do I mute this? Okay, I'll talk to you. Okay, I have returned. Alright. So, what are we doing? This distracting. So we have our working Pong. We can somewhat control the ball. First off, I want to make the ball smaller so it's actually the correct size for the little ball. So we go here. We go when we spawn our ball in. This is again another great reason to split this off into its own function, so I don't have to fuck around with this. Sprite. So we could make the sprite bigger, or we could make the ball smaller. Well, that's weird because that means that we either have because that's the half radius, right? Divided by 2. Okay. So that should, in theory, okay, so yeah, so that'll make the ball half the size. So that should make it the right collider size for the size of the ball. Yep. All right, I want to try this really dumb idea I had, which is if we go to the ball and we set its restitution to 1.1, in theory, we have now given this greater than elastic collision, which, you know, is physically impossible in the real world, but that's why we make video games. The idea being, in my head, the longer the game goes on, the faster the ball should get, because every collision the ball makes will increase its speed. Really, we should apply it to the paddles and not the ball, so that the walls don't speed it up. But if I just set these two perfectly square, is it going to get faster? We'll get back to that, because we want to work on other things as well, but it should just be running in the background. I want to see if it gets faster. Well, I mean, I guess the way to check that, though I'm not entirely sure, because I don't think I included the Rapier extension for the editor, but if we go, one of these is the ball. I don't know which one. Bottom or top or entity, it'd be that one. Velocity? 377, 395, 341. Wow, now you can actually actively feel it getting faster. So let's leave that and see how fast it goes. So what do I want to do? I want to go like the paddles. When I say move the paddles, where do we determine the paddle speed? Player. It's got to be player, right? Settings, get delta clamp, min max paddle wide divided by 2. It's clamping, delta seconds. Okay, paddle speed, which is paddle. The paddle, okay. What's inside our player? The player is just an enum to determine between the two. The paddle is the... Funnily enough, the paddle is the actual player. The player is just an indicator of which controls the paddle. That's hilarious. Okay. Oh, okay, the ball's gone. Which way was it going? It just got really fast. Okay. I mean, that is hilarious, because that does mean there's a finite length of time that a game can play. So we're going to go to game. We're going to go to the ball, and we're going to say, okay. The ball has a restitution of 1, because I don't want the ball speeding up when it bounces off the roof. I only want it to speed up when it hits a paddle. So that would mean that when we spawn the paddles in, both paddles need a restitution of, like, let's say 5%, greater than 0. No, that's exact opposite I want. Now it'll only speed up when it hits the walls. No, we want to. This is right paddle. Okay, so restitution of 0.5. All right, so we want left paddle with a restitution of 0.5. Okay, so every time the ball hits the paddle, it'll speed up. Okay. So I also feel like these are still way too wide. Like, I kind of want the paddles to be smaller, but we'll work on that later when I decide to start working cosmetically. So we probably want to spawn in some goals. Spawn ball random. Right, that's the event we send. So I want to copy something like this and be all like, we're gonna need a score. Oops. Why is my caps lock stuck on? Oh no. Yep. Okay. Let's change keyboards. Struct score, which is going to just be like probably a U8. U8. If you get more than 255 points, that, you know, I don't really want it to you know, the game will be able to continue forever, but 255 beyond 255 is just too much. Derive. This is a resource. Okay, where's our game plugin? So we want to say init resource score. You need to derive default as well. Alright, so that's our score. Okay, so we want to spawn at a position, not height divided by 2, but instead negative width divided by 2, and we want a height of 0. Okay, so that should put the sprite right at the back there, and this is going to be called left wall. It's a game item, so it gets destroyed when the it's a fixed type. It's a sensor. And it's whether there's or not a collider is a sensor. Okay. It's also going to be cubic. It's going to be width times a half. No, height times a half. And then 5 pixels. And then the coefficient is going to be friction and restitution. These shouldn't be needed, and I feel like because the Rapier physics engine is sort of running independent from Bevy and passing stuff back and forth, the less components that need to pass. They probably do it very efficiently. Like, they've almost certainly got it being like only when it changes does it pass. But I still would rather not have components unnecessary. Okay, right wall fixed. So, maybe we should put a goal component on them as well. So we'd want to get like component goal. So that would so down here we grab. Well, when we move things with the player and the paddle, which means that we can say like a player and a goal will be a completely different thing. So that means we can say that this is, I'm assuming I've done it right, and say this is player 1, and this is a goal. And this is player 2, and this is a goal. So in theory, we now have a goal either side, and we're going to say until I fix up the UI, we're going to go fn score point, underscore, no, point. Okay, so we need I'm going to, but I don't know where to start. I have 0 programming skills. Do you recommend? It's a bit tough to recommend my videos for using Bevy if you've got 0 programming skills, because I tend to just talk a lot of jargon in relation to the programming. I do talk conceptually game design, at least in my earlier videos. I talked a lot about it in things like I talk about components and entities as the game design thing, and I use big pictures of being like, this thing is sort of a subsection of this thing. But then my videos started to go a bit off the rails with that. I don't know where you would learn coding. That's more the important thing. Like, if you've got programming skills, my videos would be great. If you don't have programming skills, my videos are probably too reliant on the understanding of programming skills. I'm trying to think of things where I learn a lot of stuff. It's like, I watched a lot of Zoding. He doesn't really teach programming as much as he points out that a lot of the stuff they try to teach you when they teach programming is a lot of bullshit. Like, lots of people are like, oh, you can't do this. And it's like, well, you can do that. It may not be the best approach. It may be hard to manage. But as a new user, you don't need to know about all these things. So it becomes that whole, like, he teaches you, I guess, functional programming, but not how Rust is functional, as in, like, you know, all functions is functional programming. He teaches you functional programming as in programming that will get you putting something to the screen, as opposed to programming where you're going to spend ages learning the right way to do it to find out that nobody actually does it that way because it's too hard. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think you'd need programming skills before my video series. But also there's a YouTube channel called No Boilerplate that does Rust videos, and he talks about like concepts and stuff like that. And he like doesn't teach code at all, but he does say that like Rust, read the error messages. Rust will teach you how to program. Like, you don't need as much programming skills as everyone claims to use Rust, because it won't let you make the mistakes that you've got to go do a whole class of C in order to know what not to do. Rust just won't let you do it. Like, you have to actively do things like unsafe. Like, now I can break all the rules. Yeah, like no boilerplate's videos are pretty good. But like, again, he doesn't teach any programming. It's purely it's purely like conceptual stuff. Like he took one of his videos, which I really enjoyed, was make your Rust lightsaber, and he's talking about how Rust has such an ecosystem, and because it's all rigidly typed, you can sort of pick and match all these extensions together to make Rust tell you how you want to program, rather than like C, where it's like you program like everyone else programs, or you don't program at all. It's like, no, if you don't care that you use unwraps all the time, you can just tell Clippy to shut up, and it won't tell you that you're not allowed to use unwraps. But you can also go the other way and say, Clippy, don't even tell me it's a warning. Don't let it compile if I'm using unwraps. Most people only do that for like release builds, but it means that you don't like go, oh, I can just unwrap this because for now it'll always be the case, but maybe not in the future. So instead it becomes that whole, like, you can quickly test things and you'll get a warning. But when you go to compile for your final build, you'll get an error. So you can't leave potential crashes. There was another person I watched that talked about how the great thing about Rust is if it compiles, it runs kind of thing, and it will sort of never crash. If you don't use unwrap, your program won't crash. Like, outside of like really, really niche fluky stuff, or you're using other people's code that is also faulty. But it's that whole idea of if it returns a sum result, you have to use it. You have to work out what happens if you get none. If you always expect a sum result, you use expect, not unwrap, because expect is saying, like, here's a custom error message on why this will never be none. So whether it's like, I've already checked earlier that it was sum, so it will never be none at this point, and you just call expect, but you don't call unwrap, because unwrap is like saying, if it's an error crash, expect is saying it crashed because if you get here, it's not a coding oversight, it should never happen. Which is like very semantically, like, you know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you know, why not use unwrap? And it's like, well, because the difference is I'm signaling my intent. If someone else comes and reads my code and it says unwrap, it means that I don't know the condition. Whereas if I say expect, I'm saying, hey, if you ever get a none here, something else is broken, not my expectation of nothing. Something like, it should never return none. Or result errors, that kind of thing. Yeah, the other thing that's annoying about Rust is there's a lot of helper functions, because they know how inconvenient it is. So things like if you have an error, you can, or like a result type, you can call like .ok, and it'll turn it into an option type and just erase the error. And that's really useful if you are using the question mark operator, this thing, which you use. So if you had this was returning like an option like this, if you use the question mark operator, it will return sum if it's sum, or like, oh no, it'll unwrap the sum if it's a sum. So like if I like let this equals sum two, this is an I32. So it unwraps this into the 2. If it's a none, it'll return early and insert the none, which is, it's just shorthand for like if let sum return none syntax. But if you call a function and it returns a result, result, I guess it'd be okay. I guess it's just okay. Yeah, okay 2. This won't work. I would just return none. It's going to say that I can't return a result operator. Yeah, you can't return result when it's expecting option, because otherwise it won't. It'll turn this into an error, but you can call like dot okay. This will turn it into an option, and then return it. And this is one of the more confusing things. It's saying it needs another type, but it's not important. One of the more confusing things about Rust is there's all these shorthand things that if you want to learn Rust, go read some of the GitHub code. Go find a really complex program like the editor, if you want to learn Bevy specifically, and read the code so that you find things like this, where people are just calling like these little shorthands, or you can do other things like, is it or? This will let you turn one result into a different type of result, or else will let you run it through a function. Is okay is just a Boolean check. You can map the error and the result to a, final output. Returns the provided default if it's an error, or applies a function if it's okay, and then returns the result of the function. Unwrap or will return the value or the specified value. You can unwrap or default, which is just the same as unwrap or, except it'll return the default instead of a specified one. Or unwrap or else will run a function. And so there's all these little helper stuff that's about getting around the fact that Rust expects everything to be so strongly typed. And if you don't know they exist, you end up writing really ugly code. And it's not just that you are ugly code, it's that the big thing that they go about Rust is very little boilerplate. And these functions cut most of that remaining boilerplate out. But if you don't know about them, you end up writing a lot of really tedious boilerplate. Like I know a lot I used unwrap because I didn't want to write if let okay and then error case sort of thing. I just wanted to, get the value out. Whereas if I'd known about .ok and the question mark operator to send it up, it's like you can write a function and then just pass things into that function just to get them unwrapped in a way that logs the error. Like that's all it does is log the error and then returns you an option, rather than having to know every single error and every single case where that error is. It's like, no, I just want to log this error. So you have like a log error function that takes in a result and spits out an option. And it's like you can pass in anything, and then you only have to worry about if it's sum and that kind of thing. It's it's all like coding techniques that you learn from the compiler, and the fact that it's got really good error messages. I guess I don't know. I got really sidetracked on that one. Anyway, what were we doing? We're scoring points. So we need to query anything. So we need to query the entity, the player, entities with players that are also goals. It's not a don't watch my videos, especially the early ones, because for a very long time I had the format of concept, implementation, use case, and that format, at least for the first few years, even though they edited really poorly because it was very much a slideshow, would help, because it's going to teach you the terminology and the understanding of how the structures fit, and it's not Rust or Bevy specific. It's not even programming specific. It's game design specific. So those kinds of videos would help. But yeah, again, like a lot of my videos are like, if you don't know, like when I say method versus function, like to someone who doesn't know programming, and I may even be using it wrong, but to me, a method is you have an object, which, you don't really have objects in Rust, but structurally speaking. So commands.spawn, that's a method. FN cleanup is a function, because this one is just called at any point, and then I pass these two things in, whereas spawn can only be called if I have commands. So it's that using those kinds of terminologies will be quite confusing, I guess, if you don't actually understand programming. But the conceptual stuff, like systems and so I'm going to quickly tab over to my YouTube channel and look at what my earlier videos were to try and refresh my memory about what videos would be good for you to watch. I put up too many shorts recently. It's clogging up my video feed. Oh, actually, yeah, just scrolling back through my videos, I thought of something that'd be really good for you to do, because someone even commented on the video. Do the advent of code. Go Google search advent of code, and pick a year and work your way through. If you get stuck, like go to the next year or the previous year and work your way through, because advent of code is like coding challenges. And if you're like, I'm going to learn Rust, they will start off really easy, really simple, like basically passing text, and then they'll advance to, like really complicated algorithms and stuff. That it sort of teaches you in a way that like you can learn really useful stuff. Anyway, I've finally scrolled back to my stuff. So yeah, so things like queries, resources would be worth watching, I guess. I'm gonna say maybe watch up until about episode 8, because up until episode 8 I was covering, like, and that's where the series got its name, the literal basics of Bevy, which was the actual data structures and different pieces of information like that you need to know to be able to progress. So like what an event is, what a resource is, what a component is, because they're more game design concepts for ECS gaming rather than specific implementations for Bevy, at least at the beginning of the episode. And then I talk about how Bevy implements them, but that's neither here nor there. With goal. We also need the fun. What is it? So Rapier context. Is that it? The Rapier context contains all the state of the physics engine. I don't know why my brain's so excited that I remembered. No, this is the right thing, yeah. The island manager, which determines what object is sleeping. Interesting. Anyway, so what do we want to do? We want to go... we need the ball as well. Ball is a query entity. With ball? What does the ball contain? It's just a marker, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, so ball query entity with ball. Hello, click. Alright, so there should only be one ball. But I'm going to say let's not say there's only one ball so that in the future, if I add multi-ball, it doesn't break. Let's change this to balls as well. Just because one, that's slightly funnier, and two, again, in the future, there may be more than one ball. All right, so for each ball, we want to go for goal in query. For each ball in each query, no, like player. So we need the player. Okay, so we then want to go something like physics world dot. No, we don't want to cast array. We don't want to cast shape. Collision collider entity. No, collider partner. Collider pair. Is this what we want? Find all entities of the collider with A, B, B intersecting at the given A, B, B. Okay, the content pair involves two if this returns none, there is no collision between the two colliders. If returns some, then there may be a collision between the two colliders. Check result of has active collision. So this is all non-sensor collisions? No. Step simulation, update query pipeline. So it's got to be contact pairs. But the issue with this is that I don't know if it counts colliders. Well, like not colliders, sensors. So if we just like dot unwrap and then check. Collider 1, the first collider involved. Collider 2, the second collider involved in the contact pair. Find deepest contact. Okay. Has an active contact. Is there any active contact in this collision pair? Okay, so is there anything about no? Intersection pair. The intersection pair involves two specific colliders, at least one being a sensor. If it returns none, or some false, then there is no intersection between the two colliders. Okay, if this returns some true, there may be an intersection between the two colliders. Okay. Intersection with intersection pair, intersection ray. Intersection with shape. Okay, I think it's intersection pair. And then we're going to say between the ball and the goal. Okay. If let some true. Okay. 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 So group of context. But then there may be an intersection between the two colliders. I don't get why may, like, because it's returning a boolean, yeah, like an option boolean, which means that I can't then check to see if there's an intersection. It's just saying like maybe there is. So that's a bit confusing. Anyway, we're just going to give the player score anyway, and we'll keep an eye out if it just sort of randomly gives score. So we want to be able to like match player. Okay. So then we're going to say like player 1, which is going to then say that we need a score, which is a mute score. Okay, and then we're going to say score dot 1 plus equals 1, and then we're going to say player 2 score dot 0 plus equals 1. Okay. Okay, and then we want to print we're doing here print line score now equals that, and then we go score. Okay. And then we just need to insert score points. So add underscores system score point dot inset on update game state playing. Okay. Now what are you complaining about? Right, score does not implement debug. Right. Score. Cool. Okay. Run. Oh. No. Come on, run. Wonder why it took 18 seconds to compile. Weird. Oh. Well, I'm sure we can score a point. Yeah. We should probably also make the ball despawn because we just scored this person a lot of points. We scored player 1 26 points. So, one thing, we're gonna work out why. Yes, because these should be flipped. It should be 5 by height, which means that you're gonna be the same. Okay. 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 So res score. Okay. So down here we need access to commands. Not immutable commands like that. We need this command. Okay. So we have our commands, and then so if there was a collision was true, we need to say commands dot entity ball dot despawn. All right. So despawn the ball. We also, funnily enough, need to send an event. So we need an event writer. Is it game event? And then we need to say events dot no, not event reader, event writer. Dot send, and then we need to say game event spawn ball player, and then it's going to be, I guess, is it player? So if you score on player 1 gets the ball. That's how it works. Okay. Yeah, we need to dereference this. Thank you. Okay. So really, the event should handle it separately, but like we should send a despawn ball event, not a not just despawn the ball itself, just in case we want to implement some kind of functionality. Oh. I personally would steer away from Python, but that's a personal preference. I've tried to learn Python multiple times, and it does my head in the fact that it's so loosely typed. I would recommend, if you want to like an easier to get into language, would be C#, because you got things like Unity, which is a much more developed game engine. Like people keep trying to tell me in my comments, why aren't you using Unity? And like so. There's a lot more videos out there that probably start right at the beginning to teach you the basic stuff and much more well-produced than my videos. But I don't like Python because it's so easy to fuck up in Python and not know why. Like, there's no type safety. But again, that's a personal preference. Like, if you're all good with, not having to worry about stuff like that, then yeah. Yeah, exactly. See, now that you know the beauty that is strongly typed systems, Python is kind of gross. Imagine my first language I learnt was C#, and even then I didn't really learn it particularly well, like just a passing. And then I went to learn Python, and it's just impossible to learn Python because I've seen some guy who's talking about how terrible Python is in that depending on the compiler, tabs and spaces are treated differently. Like the active difference is that a tab isn't just 4 spaces, and if you mix tabs and spaces, your Python code won't compile and it won't tell you why. So if there's a single tab anywhere to do your indentation, and you're using spaces everywhere else, it won't work. It won't tell you why either. It just won't compile. And just weird shit like that makes Python just not fun. And I find it weird because a lot of people go, oh, it's easier to learn Python. But it's like, it's kind of like saying learn the bad habit and then, because it's easy to learn a bad habit. So I would recommend something like C# that is easier than Rust in terms of like garbage collection, don't need to borrow checker, that kind of thing. Like it's simpler to learn, but still type safe, like still strongly typed. So you don't have to worry about other stuff like that. And then, yeah, maybe work your way from Rust. Personally, never been able to learn C++. It's too chaotic in terms of like there's so many different specs, and depending on what builder you're trying to go, I've like never even got it to compile. Oh no, the sprite's gone. That's what I'm saying is I agree somewhat, except I feel like it's giving you the water gun so you don't learn gun safety. It's giving you something that you don't know you've shot yourself in the foot until you pick up a real gun and then shoot yourself in the foot. Like you're gonna do shit in Python that any other language would not let you do. And you're gonna learn real bad habits. Whereas if again, like the great sort of example is that Python lets you pass anything in. Like unless you get stuff that makes Python more type safe. Like I've seen again, Zoden's one of the people I watch. He has some kind of Python compiler that makes you specify types, or at least lets you type check your Python code. Even though no other Python, like the Python will run regardless of what types you pass it. This just goes through and goes, hey, you're passing the wrong type here. And it's like, at that point, it's like, well, you're not really using Python anymore. So at least with C#, you still get like overloading. Rust doesn't have overloading, which one of the few things that I've kind of gone like, man, it's annoying that I can't write a function that Rust then determines what function to run based on my input of what types I gave it. Like, you have to do generics. You can't just be like, oh, an F32 or an F64 will work in this function. It's like you need to have separate functions for each. Hence, you'll notice with Rust, or with Bevy, you'll have like seconds F32 and seconds F64. So because you can't have sort of generic the way like it returns whichever one's appropriate, but C# can do that. Like you've got type overloading. So does C++. But again, I'd never learned C++, so I can't really comment on C++. Oh no, there goes the ball. Oh no, oh no, it's broken. All right, we're just gonna leave the ball there. So it's that you will introduce bugs into your code because you learnt Python and just never learnt not to do that thing. Like you're gonna get frustrated with the type checker and the burrow checker in Rust because Python didn't teach you those concepts. Which, yeah, if you're learning game dev and not learning Rust completely, Pygame is probably a much better approach if you want to just churn out a game. To me, you'll you will learn node gun safety and then feel confident with a gun, as opposed to keep your analogy. It's at least C# will teach you some gun safety without having to worry about memory safety. Though again, that's the point of Rust, is you shouldn't have to worry about memory safety, but the truth and the optimistic approach are not always the same. I don't know what's happened to this ball. Like, I don't know how it's stuck. It's really weird. I never got to test the scoring system because I was too good at the game until I broke it. So, yeah. Okay, we'll just restart that, and we're going to deliberately lose a point now. Just play. I'm wondering if I want to do a single player and multiplayer kind of thing of oh yeah, that's right. The ball disappeared. It also never scored a point. Right? Like, it didn't print that it gave a point. Excuse me. Why does the image disappear? Why? Why does your sprite? No, not your sprite. Apparently, your image handle. That's interesting. Just give it some gravity. It's bouncing now. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, and it's gone. Okay. What is happening? Oh, I removed the print. That would be why. Alright. Okay. Let's run that and just I think this is the most I've had in terms of a stream. I've had like 3 concurrent viewers for like ages now. Usually my YouTube charts are spiky all over the place because like someone will come, someone will go, someone will come, someone will go. But I've had like one person for like 10 minutes, and then 2 people for like half an hour, and then 3 people for 10 minutes. Just keep going up. Average view time's like 11 minutes. Man, I don't know what it is. YouTube just sometimes does really bizarre shit. Like, I'll upload a video and it'll get like 3 times the watch time and half the views, and it's like, right, so YouTube's just showing it to people that don't just click away. And it's not even like it's showing it to more people so I get more watch time. It's like, nah, just gonna show it to the right people this time. Hello. I'm still not sure why the image disappears. Okay, score is now 1-0. And then the score should be 1-1. See, the image loads and then disappears. Why? It's gotta be a I don't know. So one of those, what's it called? Like where it's like it's loading the asset server's loading it and then immediately unloading it. Like, why does it disappear? What's so much more bizarre about it? Okay, maybe we could get away with not respawning the ball. The other option is to like completely change the event instead of spawning the ball. We just reset it to 0. See, but then you need to know which ball it is. That's interesting. I don't know what to do in that case. It doesn't make any sense though. Like I just don't get why it's losing its image. Because like it's still got the handle. Alright, I want to try one more thing just to see, because it has to be that it's unloading. Like that's the only thing that I can think of that would cause the ball to disappear. Oh, I forgot that it's got a little tiny random amount of variance. Sprite handle. Yeah, see, so that basically is saying that when I move out of the way, let's move them both down, that the new ball. Wait, what? Why is it working now? I didn't even change anything. God damn it, Bevy. I didn't change anything. Anyway. What am I doing? I don't know, just watching the ball, I guess. It's just having a fun time, it is. Okay, I think we want to make the paddles smaller, for one thing. I feel like I should give the paddles a fixed size. Okay, so this is wall, these are paddles. Okay, no, these are walls. These must be the paddles. Okay, probably also make a git commit at some point, because this is just gonna, so width, the height. Okay, your width should just be like 20, I guess. Yeah, like a 20. Okay, and then the actual image again is, so I guess that would make that 40. So that's 20, that's paddle size. Okay, that'll work. So we have our paddle now. So I'm gonna make the git commit and call this don't revert all. We wanna stage all changes. Wait, not temp. Temp doesn't exist. It's just a blank file. Go away. I was editing editing cookies. Not editing cookies, editing tags on my YouTube videos, and I was copying and pasting in the mirror to use the like functionality, like being able to select multiple lines and, you know, add commas to the end of each line. Anyway, so we've staged all these changes, and we're going to commit game working. Commit. Okay, so next is to add the scoreboard. So I guess in here we need to like set up a scoreboard. So that's going to rely on belly again, I guess, because I mean, for one thing, belly is just really nice. Fn spawn score. Okay, so we're going to need probably just commands again. We want this commands. then we just say something like commands dot no, it's add, and then it's a elm. No, go to menu, go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, down. Spawn main menu. How do we do it? It's EML. EML. Why did that not work? Okay, belly. Prelude. Thank you. Okay. So we need to spawn this. Is it just a macro, yeah? Yeah. Index out of bounds panic macro. Okay, so we want to be like div. This is going to be like class score board. Okay. Okay, so like that div scoreboard, and then we're going to say we want. I guess this also gets like width, and then we want to say what was its game item or something. Game item. Okay, that should mean that I can now despawn that without needing anything fancy. Then we go like dot add system spawn score dot in underscore set on enter. Oh no, it's not. No, not set. It's in schedule on enter. Game state playing. Okay. Okay. So we're going to be like see. So this is going to be like a different div. This is going to be class P1. 1. Gonna have a closing div, and then we're gonna have, I guess inside of it is gonna have a label. Then we're gonna bind value equals from gotta remember how to do this. Run. So it's not the main menu. It's not the close menu. It's no. It's got to be the spawn. Yeah, spawn settings menu. No. Binding set. One of these. It's definitely spawn settings menu. It's bind value from, so resource sub formatter. Okay. From, and this is going to be score 0. Let's play out 1, and then we're going to just wait. Is it? Which one's the wrong way? This one must be the wrong way. Control C, tab, Control V, and this is going to come from 1. Right. First off, this is where 2. Okay, so that means this needs to be piped into fmnt dot. Is it C? How does this work? C. C. Huh. Okay. I mean, that should, in theory, so we need to create like 2 more classes. So we need a scoreboard class, scoreboard, which is a dot class, dot scoreboard, and dot where is it? That's a nice little thing. Oh, Windows wants me to restart. Where is your background color? Don't be transparent. Where the hell are you? Okay, scoreboard. Oh, okay. Background color. Red. Okay, and then we're gonna need like dot 1 and dot player 2. Alright, let's go back to game and go. These are definitely distinct classes. Scoreboard. Okay. I wonder where they went. Oh. Okay, well, I found it. So that means that the scoreboard needs to be position relative absolute. Top is 0. Okay, where does that put it? Okay, so its top is 0. Yeah, shush. Height 100 pixels. Cannot treat. Wait, what? Invalid property type. Absolute. Okay. Margin. Horror. Okay, so left is auto, right is auto. No? Okay, we want to go margin left. Margin right? Hey, okay, we're centered now. Height is going to be maybe like 10%. I mean, it's an okay height. Flex. Well, okay. We don't want to set too many values because once you start setting values with Belly, you can't. That's interesting. Why can't I see that UI? Once you start setting values, you can't change them with like the editor. So we have to go to here, it'd be like style. Yeah, that stuff we probably want to do like. I don't know why minimizing crashes. That's a Bevy problem. So this is going to be blue. It's going to be green. Alright, get the game back up and running. Alright, so there's our blue and our green. Where is our font? Okay, so you definitely have text in you, yes? Text. Yep, you say 0. You have a font size. Okay, so first up, we want to set the font size to like, maybe like 100. Alright, let's go with like a font size of 200 maybe. Font size 200. font size 200. Your height is going to be unspecified. But the players are going to need padding. Okay, that's not correct at all. Oh my god, stop minimizing. Height water? Wait, invalid parameter cannot a size value. Okay, so no. Did that work? Hey, okay. Okay, so we want to go like is it text? Font size 200? No, we want to go like dot player space text. Okay, that didn't work. Text. Why is it not working? Oh, because it'd be player1.text. But I mean, it's still not working. Wait, are you complaining about something? Neither of them. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, so your height is going to be like... Wait, we can set your max height. Max height is 20%. Okay. Hey, okay. So, still not quite sure why I can't specify class text. Element class text. Why is that not working? Size. Text. Font size. Okay, so I just said text font size? No. Okay, so I mean it works, but it doesn't work, which is just so confusing. Oh, someone's got a point. Someone's got a point, and the fucking it disappeared again. Not quite sure why it disappears. Ah, it's because it's not text, it's label. Hey, okay. So that means we need to come back in here. Oh, well, actually, it would just be scoreboard text. Scoreboard label. There we go. Okay, so 200 is too big. Maybe 150. Also, doesn't really matter if they're inside that box, because that box is going to disappear in a second. Because we're going to say that outside of needing padding, they also, I don't think, need to be labeled. If you know what I mean. Like it could just be a score. Like Why not just class that as score? Like, there's no need to specify them as two distinct elements. That's score, thank you. Okay, so it's da. We need to have some kind of break between them though. Is that going to be a problem? The fact that that word is used. Copy the word break. So we're going to be like dot scoreboard dot break. Does that mean that is specifically? No. We want scoreboard element with class break. It's going to have a width of 5 pixels and a background color of black. Okay. Right, 5 pixels. Run. Okay. And play. I do question why there's 2 zeros, but well, let's find out what that second 0 is. Why? I guess, yeah, one of these has text on them. One of them, I copied and pasted, didn't I? Yep. I'm pretty sure I can just do this. It's just called break. It's just text. Okay, apparently it's a score of 3-3. I don't think that's actually the case. I think that 3 is just a duplicate 3. Yeah, it is. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Do the motion. Okay. I mean, what's next? I think I might go with an AI. Who knows? Okay, so that does mean that we need to come here. We need to go. So you have playing, and you have no, because you can't have its own state. See, the issue is that when we click menu, when we click play, we don't want to go to playing. We want to go to I guess like opponent select. Goddamn internet's so slow. Okay. Okay, we want opponent select. Alright, so with the opponent select, we need to go up here and go, for some reason, AI is bitching. But AI exists, can't find module, okay. I don't know why it's bitching, it's just gonna bitch. Okay, so, we need to go to the menu, we need to go, hey, when you click player 1, so this is the settings menu, we don't need this, we need the main menu. When you click play, on click, press set game mode to opponent select. Alright, so then we want to probably have a different state. So we're going to go here and we're going to go use Bevy prelude Right, this we're gonna go enum opponent human default. Did I spell that wrong? No, surely not. Why are you complaining? Mod AI. Weird. Oh, I need a derived default. State. State's gonna tell me what else to do to derive. Anyway, I'm gonna disappear for a second while I let the dog inside. Okay, I have returned. Okay, so opponent needs to implement hash. Opponent needs to implement equals. So it's par equal. And it needs clone. So we'll go with clone and copy because it's just an enum. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna have like a human. I feel like I'm going mad because that word just does not look right. Okay, so in our game, when we say move paddles, we probably also want to go OPPO and which is going to be a res state up. No, so we need to make it public, don't we? Pub opponent game. Opponent. Okay. Okay, so okay, so we need to say something like we need to like get delta. Okay, so if player equals player, alright, so we need to maybe like match player. Nope. Okay. Oh no, just match this player. Then we're gonna be all like f and get human. And just go delta. Okay, and this will return a vec2. No, delta is just an f, so f32. Alright, so this is going to need to take in a key. I guess keys, because that's what I called it, which is a key binding. A key binding. Okay, and then we need to go on. And then we add an input. Input, which is a reference to an input key code. Okay. So instead of doing this, we're going to take that out. We're going to go keys, move up, keys, move down. System owned key bindings, so, and then we return delta. Okay, so match player. We're going to go player 1 is just going to be get human delta. Keys and a reference to input. But keys is going to be this. Okay, and then if it's player 2, we are going to then match opponent.0. Okay, let me just fill missing arms. We go, okay, so we go to do and to do. Okay, so this is going to be get human delta setting keys. So keys is going to be settings dot get player 2. Well, I guess you just specify player 2. Wonder if that's also better, just be like specify player 1, because it might let the compiler optimize away something in the fact that it just knows which one it's getting rather than having to dereference a potential, even though it'll always be player 1. Okay, anyway. Okay, so you expect it to return this, yes, so we're gonna let, we say all this code is done inside that, so we just say let delta equal this, and we get rid of this. Okay, so we need to make delta. Okay, so delta gets multiplied by the paddle speed and the delta speed. Okay, so get human delta. Yeah, see, both of these get human at delta, and then we want to go opponent on it, and then we want to go probably something like, I guess anything else. We're just going to be like O, and we'll be like O dot cal. Oof, no, see, we'd need to. We would probably want to do something like your opponent is either human or AI, and we'll let the specific AI get controlled later. So it's going to be like opponent AI is going to be I guess we would go something like resource AI, which is just going to hold a, so we need a type, no, type, no, not type, what is it, trait, AI brain. Okay, now it's going to be trait AI. This is going to be called AI brain. And this is going to be a dynamic AI. Maybe we should call this a Pong AI, just, error cannot be shared. Okay, so first off, Pong AI needs to be static, send, and sync in order to be able to be shared between threads safely. Okay, yeah, so this is just called AI now. Thank you. So you then will call, so we need to be like AI is res AI brain. Okay, maybe e public. AI brain. And then we need to go the trait AI brain needs to be like fn get delta, which is just going to take in self and return an F32. Okay, and then we're going to say AI.get underscore delta. Okay. I don't know what value is trying to pull. Fucking. Okay, so get delta. Yeah. So we need to be. Oh wait, first off. Okay. So we're going to import Pong AI for AI brain, and we're going to say f and get delta is done by going self.0.getDelta. Alright. So it's just a pass through. Alright, then you do this, and we're just going to say AI brain. And then we're going to say, oh, right, not a public trait. AI pub. Then we're going to say this is a Pong AI. Alright. Okay. So I guess now we just I'm gonna go like fn. Okay, we're gonna go struct simple Pong AI, which is just going to have a delta, which is just an F32. Okay, and then so each Pong AI is going to have a fn update, which is going to take in immutable self and a non-mutable reference to the world. I think this is the first time I've ever done sort of a dynamic thing where it's going to get given the world, which means that it'll conflict with anything that needs mutable access. But the idea should be that the well, it's not going to do anything yet. Okay, and then you're going to have the same thing. We're going to go fn. Your update is just going to be self.0. update and pass in the world, because again, this is just a pass through. It literally just lets me access the box without having to do anything fancy. Okay, so what's going so we call get delta on the AI. So we're programming the simple AI. So we're going to import Pong AI for simple Pong AI. And get fn get delta, just return self.delta. Okay. And then fn update is going to do some fancy stuff, mostly being... no, you need to see... You don't get access to the world, you get access to a reference to the world, thank you. That's not how this works. You can't have the world. How's it going to work? So, the way I see this working is we're going to... but we have to resource scope, don't we? Because you're modifying yourself. Which, annoyingly, means I don't think you can access, like, you can also have non-mutable world, but it does mean that this has to run exclusively because it needs access to mutate itself. Well, the other option is a mutex. Does that work? Huh. Lock.unwrap.get delta. And update works the same way. Dot lock dot unwrap. Why give it a mutex? Mostly just because giving it a mutex, I'm just going to default. Wait, no, we need to insert the resource. I'm giving it a mutex because then we can just request non-mutable world access and then get a mutable access to itself. Alright, anyway, why are you complaining? Move paddles in set on update. Because its trace bounds not satisfied. Method cannot be called due to insufficient trait query. Player paddle. What do you mean? Inset query transfer ref new paddle because its trace is set. The full name is the following trait bounds were not satisfied. But it does implement resource, right? That's what you're complaining about, yeah? Yeah, just for now. Just return 0. 0 dot. What is your problem? Why can I not have a mutex version of this? Whereas AI brain, it has resource implemented. So it just doesn't like that it's a mutex, I guess. That's interesting. So that would imply that it is a resource. Right, but I don't need you mutably. That's interesting. I guess we'll just make it run exclusively. Does that fix your bitching? I don't know what's going on there. It's saying that it doesn't meet the parameters to be turned into a system. So apparently mutex is, I guess, I not send or sync or something. Anyway, doesn't particularly matter. Just means that this will need to be called in a... so all you do is you go like fn update AI. Really, we should go up here and be like plugin AI plugin. Okay, then we go app dot I don't know what this is going to do because we can't initialize this resource. Well, I guess we can. We can go insert resource, AI brain, box, new, simple Pong AI with a delta of 0. Alright, down here then we're going to go dot add underscore system update AI. Alright. And it's going to go dot in underscore base set core set last. Now, admittedly, that makes it even less parallelizable, but it's also an exclusive system, so it actually, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. But I'm putting it in the last set, in the last base set, simply so that all changes to the world have taken place before the AI does its update. Okay, so this is going to need probably a world. Am I allowed to do something like mute AI, which is going to be a res mute AI brain? World is going to be a world. Is this allowed? Probably not. Well, you don't seem to have a problem with it. So I'm curious if maybe a resource scopes all the stuff so that the world doesn't contain the AI brain. That would be actually really nice if it did that, but again, that would still block it from running parallel because anything else that needs to access the AI brain, then we just call like AI brain.update. And then we just pass in the world. And we just go, hey, you're done. But surely that doesn't work. Huh. Then we go back to main and we go down here and we go dot add underscore plugin. This is the AI. We do AI plugin. Okay. So the simple update here would be we need to go like world dot query. World dot query. Now we need to query for something that's holding a player. Okay, we need a player. So wait. Let res no, let query equal. Okay, so first off we want, you can't borrow the world mutably. Why can't queries be done non-mutably? Thank you very much. Okay, so we need immutable access to the world, which is depressing. Which means that you need to be mute. You need to be mute. The most annoying part, the absolute most annoying part is that you need to be mute, and that's going to make those conflict no matter what. So we instead go world.scope. No. Resource scope world and AI, which is a mute AI brain. We do that, 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 we do that. Okay. Right, you need to be. Nope, okay. Fuck you. Hey. Okay, so now it works because it yoinks the AI out, and then calls update on the AI with the world. So we get our query, which is going to be our player and our, I guess, a transform, because we are calling it simple transform. Okay. The other thing is we need to add our game state. Dot add underscore state. It's opponent. Okay. So that'll default to human. We need to add a pick opponent selection. Anyway, so we query for the world, the player, anything with a player and a transform. And then we're going to have to say let balls equals world.query for anything with a, oh no, it's query filtered. Is that what it said? Filtered. We need anything with a transform, and the trimming. And the filter is with ball. Import. No, neither of those. We need to go to game ball. Right. Now there's 3 to import from. Create ball. Okay. So we import our ball with our transform, and then we're going to say for we need to go player pos in query. Then we say if player does not equal player 2, then continue. So we're going to cycle through all the players, and only on player 2 will we run the rest of the logic, which is for ball in balls. Okay. Why are you not working? Query state transform into that ball pos equal transform. No, this is vec3. Vec3 0. This needs to be mutable. Alright. So why? They give you world. Weird. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't work. Okay. Okay, so these need to be mutable. Does that mean they're gonna own the access to the Please no. Okay. Cannot compare to player to player. Alright, so well, first off, apparently we need to implement equal and par equal. Nope, they've got equal and par equal, so why can I not compare them? Why are you like this? Fuck off with your annoyingness. Okay, so it actually goes this way. It's player 2 is not equal to. Player 2 is not equal to player. Okay, anyway, so if player 2 is not equal to player, we continue, which basically just means we only run this for player 2. Then we let the ball equal position 0. And then for each, we say if ball dot y is greater than ball pos dot y, then we say ball, not y, x. If your x, balls are dot translation dot x. So if your x is greater than the current ball's x, then the current ball pos equals ball dot transformation. Okay, so go through. If the current targeted ball, if the ball we're checking is closer than the currently targeted ball, set the current targeted ball equal to the ball that we're currently checking. Then we go here and we go if self dot delta equals pos dot x pos dot translation dot x dot compare dot I'm sure it's compare. CMP. Partial CMP. Wait, can you... fucking... God damn it. Dot unwrap or order, it seems to be ordering equal. Okay. So we are partially comparing your x to ballpods.x. Do you have to be a reference? Okay. So match. Few missing ups. Okay. So if it's so one compared to 2 gives less. So if the ball's position is 2, so that means you would need to be 1. And then you would be 0. Then you would be -1. Okay. So that's your update. Go through every ball, find the ball that is closest to the paddle, and move in that ball's direction. Move to intercept. Okay, so we need to go back to our game, maybe our menus. Yeah, our menus. And we're going to be like, FN. So we need to be like spawn, not main menu. opponent menu. Okay, then spawn opponent menu. How did the other ones work? So spawn main menu. So it just needs commands. We just go commands. Okay. Yep. Commands dot add with root. I need to say that the root is menu root. This is opponent. Opponent. When do we even fucking use the root? So when we say, right. So when I say close settings menu, we need to go close on close. Close opponent menu root equals opponent menu is root cursively. Okay. Okay, next state, game state, no, opponent. Okay, well we kind of need both, but anyway. Game state is game state playing. So both of them set it as playing, you set opponent, and then we're going to say this one sets opponent to human, this one sets opponent to AI, this one is going to say simple AI. Okay, so then we go add okay, so apparently I've split them all into plugins, which is just a bit weird. Don't know why I did that. Anyway, we'll continue the pattern. Plugin, and this is opponent menu plugin, and then we're gonna go, we need you to add opponent menu plugin. Then we're gonna go down here, we're gonna go app.add system spawn opponent menu dot in schedule on enter game state opponent select dot add underscore system. I have no idea. Is OBS reconnected? Yes. Okay. Weird. Then we want to close settings menu. Dot in schedule on exit game state option select. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we now spawn the close options menu and schedule. Okay, so we spawn it, we close it. You can either set your diversity human being, which will work perfectly, should work perfectly fine, or you can select that you want to verse the AI, which is probably going to be really daft. But funnily enough, the way it's programmed, I can make the AI cheat if I want to. I don't know why I'd want to. Primary reason I can think of is that if the if the AI is just so bad that because it's just sort of moving towards the nearest one. So player 1, player 2, cool, that works. Okay, so okay, we're gonna rerun this. I could have just hit escape because I'm pretty sure that just takes you back to the main menu. Then you go play and you go simple AI. Excuse me, simple AI. That is incorrect. Why do you always move down? Hello, hello. Simple AI. Okay, let's debug the simple AI. So, I mean, the obvious answer would be that it's going the wrong way, which would just be flip that, which means that if it's above you, head up, not down. Because in theory, I expect it to slightly vibrate, because even though I said if you're equal, stay there, but there's only so close floating points can get, which means that I expect some kind of level of... Okay, now it's just moving up. Why is it not working? Okay. AI, why are you not working? Can I get you to print line t-ball equals... Okay, and then do new line p equals no, I said p equals and then we want to go in here and we want to go, okay, both of these might need to be debugged, so we need to say bowl pause and not player, just pause dot translation. Okay, let's try that and just see what it seems to think. The ball should be moving all the time. If it's constantly equal to 0, that would explain at least part of it, because it picks a direction and then it's sort of stuck going that way. Simple AI. So, yeah, see, the ball's always just... Oh. Huh. Oh, right, so it just doesn't... It doesn't target a ball. Okay. So... Okay. Am I just picking the wrong direction then? Why is that wrong? So, we take your x... Pause transform x, and we compare it to ball's x. And can I quickly get you to can I get you to print? Obviously I know which way the delta is. So res equals delta equals res is going to equal this bullshit, and delta is just going to equal self.delta. Why are you bitching? Because option. Okay, so fuck, how'd my keyboard change back? Really just need to get rid of that keyboard. Okay. So greater. Okay. Yeah. So your position is. Wait, where'd the ball go? That was the next question. So, where are you working? Well, you're saying that so for some reason, T-ball player's position greater. So when the player is greater, I want you to move down. Yeah. The question is there ever a time that you said you're not greater? Huh. Weird. It doesn't make any sense to me. Huh. Okay. So now you're just constantly saying greater. The scalability of adding systems that are state dependent. I don't know, because like I just did a video about the control flow and the state sort of dependency can come into that. In that, I can't see why Bevy would have any problems, you know, having tens of thousands of systems, especially if they're state dependent, because you can put them all into a single set and check the state once if it's like only run them in state. I'll show you what I mean. I guess it's not menu. Well, the menu kind of has that. It's like in schedule. So on enter and on exit, these only run this schedule once when it enters and when it exits, which means that no matter how many systems I put to happen on enter or on exit of a state, there's no computational overhead. It's when it transitions state, it runs all the systems, and then it doesn't look at them again until it changes states. And it only looks at the ones that are specific to the state it's entering or exiting. It doesn't, like, if you had 10,000 states and you only enter them rarely, they only have overhead when being entered. And this is a memory footprint, but I'm trying to find a better. So like this one. So all these systems are in either in the schedule entering or exiting playing, because that's what spawns all the items and despawns all the items when the game enters play. But these ones are all in a set on update, which means that they only run when I'm in that system or when I'm in that state. Only when I'm playing do these run. And they're in a set, which means that, well, when you have many screens or game states, it becomes cumbersome to add new ones. Does it become cumbersome to add new ones? I don't know, because I've never really worked on anything larger than like, you know, like a few files. But I think anything becomes cumbersome when it gets to that kind of size. It's about factoring it all correctly. Like, if I wanted to add a new state, I just go here and add a new potential state. States, it becomes screens. Not really performance, but when you have many screens, I'm assuming you mean like like Binding of Isaac style, when you transition, like it's a different screen. Um, yeah, I think that's not like a Bevy state issue as much as it's a you would have to like architect your game from the beginning to use states. I think it would be quite cumbersome if you halfway through decided you were going to pivot everything to states. But if you worked out how you wanted to use states, like each screen could be a different state. But I guess why would you do that? Because states would be more like overall behavior. Like weather would be a state rather than like each individual entity wouldn't get a state. Like AI wise, so you wouldn't have an aggressive and a passive state because like that's a per entity thing. States are per world, so I don't know why states would be any kind of cumbersome. You know, uh, like how do I explain it? Like the thing with Bevy is the idea is to have everything be decoupled, so you shouldn't have a bunch of states interlocked. They should all be able to function without any other states present. Like I'm saying, like if you had a weather and time of day, your weather state shouldn't affect your time of day state. And your time of day state shouldn't directly affect your weather state. But you may have, entities that respond to the weather and the time of day. And the time of day might affect the weather, but like in a decoupled way that if you removed time of day, all you need to do is go to your weather code and say, hey, don't consider this. Rather than, having every time of day be a combination of states. Actual screen, I'm mostly need... Right. So you want like a pause the game when it's not running. Yeah, again, it feels like it's that's not a limitation with Bevy. That's a limitation with how you want to architect it. Because like one way of pausing a game when you're in the main menu or unlocking a screen, as you're saying, would be to have a resource that the screen logic ties into, and you set it to 0 when it's locked and to 1 when you exit the menu, or use a state transition saying that these screens are unlocked. And it's just about like if you do it earlier enough, like there's state transition, no, not state transition, run conditions. So I can say like this system dot run if in state, and you could say run in state unlocked, and then that logic only applies. Yeah, so like the logic will only apply when it's unlocked, and therefore if you only want a window to be able to move when it's unlocked, you either have an entity or like a component attached to the window if it's a specific, like, you tick a box to lock the window, or a resource if it's while you're in the main menu you can't access it, so you state transition, and then just have the code that moves the window be in a state, like so it only runs. And then there's it's about like readable code. I don't think states make code inherently harder to read or more complicated unless you do it wrong. Like I'm saying, like the weather time of day one, if you made a horrible state tree of like it's an enum with every possible combination of time of day and weather, yeah, that would be really hard to maintain and interact with, to change anything. Because if you wanted to add a new time of day, now you need to have a state for every possible other weather. But if it's like, hey, these are two independent things that sometimes talk to each other, it becomes easier to maintain. Yeah, the multiple states would be better for that. And that's what I'm saying. So it's about what you're trying to do with it and how you architect it, rather than... The other thing is, you need to remember like worldwide versus specific. Like if you're talking Windows locking and unlocking, I would think you'd want to do that with a component attached to like the parent of the window that says, hey, this window's locked. And so either have your window moving code have unlocked, like with locked or without locked, depending on what what type of logic you're trying to run. And then have your, like, when entering your menu, have a system that runs and adds locked to all windows or unlocked to all windows that aren't relevant to that menu. I guess, I don't know. It's one of those, without knowing specifically what game you're making, it's difficult to sort of describe what architecture you'd want to use. But I feel like it's like, at least for a 2D game, Bevy seems to be fairly feature rich, at least with the extension of plugins. Like, if you want to do UI, get Belly. I've got it in this. And yeah, so Belly. It's not currently released on crates.io, but it just makes UI in Bevy actually usable. I don't know how good it'll be on like a large scale game, because it has a tendency to spawn like 6 entities to do the job that you could in theory do with one, simply because it'll spawn like the background, like, or it'll spawn a shadow, then the foreground, then the content on top of that, like, and it'll like layer it all so that it can treat it like UI does, whereas it doesn't do it. Like, you could just do it all flat, but it barely does it in a way that makes it like act like a website. Well, I guess again, it's that partly, I believe Bevy made it so that you can implement your own query, like from world implementations, which means that if you actually are using with in like every single query, make your own from world implementation for it that automatically has the with or the without. Because again, the with and without shouldn't be in every system, because if it's in every system, it implies that it doesn't need to be there, because it's an inherent property. Whereas if it's only in some systems and not in others, then it's like it's the way you distinguish two pieces of logic. Like, if I'm always saying with player in every single system, then the player doesn't represent anything. And in reality, I should say, it's not from world. It's like from world's how you create resources from the world. It's let's find a query quickly. Query. It's a world query. So there's, in this particular case, it's read-only world query, but it's any world query can go in the Q slot, and any read-only world query can go in the F slot. And the with is, so with implements read-only world query. And then any tuple of with is, also implements read-only world query. So you can then build your own, so that you could say, if you had a whole bunch of criteria that need to be checked all the time for a player, you would just turn that into a world query that is the player. And instead of having to, so like, for example, I've always got the transform, the player, and the paddle, I could turn this into a single struct that implements world query. And then it'll all, like, instead of having to do this tuple of all this information, I can just request that. And then inside that, have a reference to a transform, the player, and the paddle. It's similar to how, if I want a window, I need a reference to a window. But if I want an entity, I can just say entity. I don't need a reference to an entity. Like this. So I don't need to make a reference to this, because entity itself implements world query, whereas window doesn't. Only a reference to window does. So in theory, you can make really complicated queries that you use all the time into a struct that you call, rather than needing to just make huge query nested chains. The main reason I always do this is just because it's easy. Like, if I want to expand it, I just tack another one on. Whereas if I was making a different world query, I would have to expand and change my actual implementation. But I do also believe that the way Bevy works currently, if you make a world implementation, like a world query, you could then wrap that in a tuple with any extension that you need. So if you have like a player as all these components, you can make a player query, and then you go, well, I need the player and this other thing. So then you would just wrap the player query and the other things, and it would let you pull those in without needing to specifically implement additional structure. But I've never really looked into world query. But I just, from what I understand in reading like the release notes, they were saying that you can now implement world query because it's publicly available, and it will give you all the functionality in a compact way. So if you're always repeating yourself, you can cut down the repetition. And also, error proneness. So yeah, again, like if you always need the width, you can just put it as part of your world query, I guess. Though I guess you'd probably want that as part of your filter. What else? Yeah. But yeah, basically, if you just feel like you're always doing the same thing, I guess I got distracted from the point. Is I'm saying if you're always doing with and very rarely doing without, or like very rarely not doing the with, then it probably means you should flip it the other way and indicate where you need, like the few cases where you say with, and instead turn them to the without. So it's like you always do it unless it's got the marker, as opposed to always having to say, I only want the ones with the marker. That makes sense. So it's sort of like the, if 90% of the time you're saying, I want this thing, you're better off saying 10% of the time, I don't want this, as a, so it simplifies it. But again, that's sort of a overly simplification, or an over generalization without seeing specific use cases. It's just like a intuition I get that, if you're always saying I don't want that, maybe you should swap to saying I only want that, sort of thing. I don't know. It's difficult. Anyway, back to what we were doing. Why is this doing its thing? Okay, so T-ball is the ball. So it's a 0, 64. You say that P is greater. P should move down because P is too high up the screen. Then why is it not moving down? That is my question. It's got to be in here when we're selecting the ball. Can I wrap you like so and say print 9 got delta AI dot delta. Where's menu? Key binding. Clock delta -1. Here's my problem. Why are you still saying some greater when that number is clearly less than that number? Yeah, you're welcome. It's weird because it's such a struggle to make videos just in my own head, because I have this thing of being like nobody needs them because I'm basically just reading the documentation. But then I'm talking to you now. It's like I get that sometimes you just get that insight of being like, people are like, oh, it just seems complicated. It's like, oh, well, you're just looking at it from the wrong perspective. That becomes that whole I'm not saying I'm great at this. I'm just saying I look at things in a weird way sometimes. That's what my videos are for, is for showing people another way of looking at something rather than the correct way of looking at it. Because I just always feel like when I watch other people do coding videos, they're just so much better at programming than I am. Like, I don't remember what his name was. There's some person that did Unity tutorials, and he would be like, "Oh, I'm going to implement this," and within like 10 lines of code, he's done something that I've been working on for like 3 or 4 hours, being like, "Oh, like that makes so much sense why you would do it that way." And it's always demoralizing to watch these people be really good at programming, and then yeah, it's just that weird thing of like sometimes I'm good at explaining higher level concepts, but I'm just really bad at implementing them. That's why I've been working at Pong for ages. Oh, with me, add this is a. I don't know what you mean by add this. I know I had one person get really angry at me because in my platformer tutorial videos, I kept going like, "Here's how you implement one system," and then I'd be like, "I don't want to show them like exactly the same system with like 3 words difference." I'm like, with the knowledge you should go implement something else. Like, go implement this. You should be able to with the concepts that I've showed you earlier in the video. And they just went, "Oh, how dare you not show the code?" And I was like, but like the video would be 3 hours long if I showed you everything I did, and incredibly boring. Instead, I just linked to the GitHub, and it was kind of like, yeah, you may struggle to find the piece of code that I was referring to, but like, not showing the code is the most bizarre thing to be mad at. Because I think they were also complaining that in one of the frames I showed, I cut off the into at the end of a line, and they were like, "Oh, I worked it out, but the into was missing." I was like, "What?" But surely the compiler would have just been like, "Hey, this is the wrong type. It can be converted to the right type if you put into at the end." Because I'm fairly sure that's the error message I got when I wrote the code the first time. Hence, the into is not actually in the original code, because the original code that I screenshotted doesn't compile. Because I missed the into. It wasn't until I was like, "Oh, I better run it so I can screenshot what it's going to look like," and it went error. I was like, "Oh, need into." So it was just that bizarre thing of someone being like, "You've done it wrong," and I've gone, "Yeah, but everyone always tells me I've got to make my text bigger." Like, cause, yeah. My favorite one is just ever like way back at the beginning. I had tiny text, like I think like 1 step smaller. This is the size I used to program at, and everyone would be like, "No, I can't see your text. I'm in my 40s or whatever. I can't read it. It'd be really nice if it was big." So all my videos when I'm doing general coding are this size, and when I do like videos that show segments of code, I copy paste it into. I'm just gonna hope I'm gonna accidentally show something off. Should be right. I don't think I've got anything open. So what I would do is I copy. No, I don't even need. I copy paste it in, and then I can make it bigger. And I usually go for like 15 is the font size that I go for. The issue is that when you have a line like this size, it's also really annoying because it puts fucking spaces at the end, and I don't like getting rid of them. But at this size, if I turn this to 15, it goes to a different line. So I'm like, could just go, like backspace and make it all fit. But I'm also like, then tabs and spaces in this doesn't line up. So I just go slightly smaller. But it's just weird that people are like, "This really long line, I can't see the end of it." It's like, yeah, well, I had to cut the end off in order to make the text big enough that you could read any of it. Go check the GitHub, because I'm not as good as I used to be. I used to actually like upload every single Bevy Basics video. Like, even though they didn't have functional code, they were just snippets. I would upload that. So it's like, if you want to read it, you can go here and make the font size however big you want. Kind of slipped a little bit with that. Kind of just like not uploading stuff. Like, even this project, the Pong project, I've got the Git code. I just haven't put it on GitHub. I don't know why. Just, I don't know, laziness, I guess. But yeah, it's just so bizarre that some people complain that they can't see it all. There's too much on one slide, and it's like, well, but make the text bigger so that people can read it. I can't fit all of the code in a single slide, and partly it's a bit of like laziness on my half. I could just do 3 or 4 slides, but it's just like so hard to like put it all together in this like coherent form. And when I split it across 3 or 4 slides, it's like, do I go back to talk about that thing, or do I just leave it on the last slide while I finish up what I'm talking about? Do I try and put a graphic in there? And then I'm kind of like, I don't want these videos to be hard to make, or I won't make them. So I just tend to default to the, I think this is enough information, so I'm going to leave it at that, or I'll end up never uploading a video ever again, because I'm not good enough at editing to make something I'd be confident is actually good. So I just upload shit and tell people to suck it up. Anyway, I'm still confused about why this always thinks it's greater. So does that mean it's using this number? I know they're only a small subset of viewers, but also people that watch the video to the end apparently are a small subset of viewers, considering that most of my videos will get somewhere like around 1,000 views by the time they're done, and the average watch time will be like 2 minutes on a 10-minute video, which means like 1 in 5 people are watching till the end. Now, it might be statistically higher than that, because it might become that whole like 50% are watching to the end. No, even that doesn't math out, but most people are clicking away immediately. Yeah, it's worse than that, isn't it? If everyone clicked away immediately, 1 in 5 make it to the end. But it's like, I think most people watch for at least a minute, so it becomes that whole like, seems like about 1 in 10 make it to the end, and the 8 in 10 watch 1 minute, and then 10% just click away immediately. Which, that's YouTube for you. It's notorious for that. Like, if you don't stick around for the first 30 seconds, they're not sticking around. Okay, I can pop up analytics here. I don't know how much you're supposed to show of this stuff. But I also don't care, because YouTube's not paying me, so YouTube can get fucked. I need more people to watch my content so that I can reach. I need 300 more watch hours to get monetized. And it annoys me because YouTube is already putting ads on my videos. They're just not paying me for it, which is that whole thought the whole point was you want to vet everyone before you put ads on their videos. Instead, they just put ads on my videos and don't pay me for them. Oh, look, I've gained a subscriber today. Where we go, analytics. So yeah, the control flow, I think part of the reason it's doing much better than normal is because people aren't using Reddit anymore, and that's usually where I promote my content. And the Bevy subreddit's gone, hey, people shouldn't post here because Reddit's being anti-consumer. And I think a lot of Reddit users are just going Reddit's being anti-consumer. So the amount of clicks that immediately get clicked away because they were just clicking a Reddit link is significantly lower. So the video has a average watch time of 3 minutes instead of 2.5. But it's also got less views and more watch time than some of my other videos, which is, weird. Oh, come on. Why is it so goddamn slow? All right, well, while we wait for that to load, let's go back to the Pong game. I still don't get it. So if I flip this around, it just goes the other way. It still seems to always think that... well, that would probably help, wouldn't it? That would explain what I got wrong. We'll just ignore my stupidity. Why is the dashboard taking so long to load? Did it fix it? All right. So we'll go to control flows analytics. And we'll just test the AI in the background. Shh, YouTube, we're not doing anything. No, it ran away. Okay, so yeah, I gained some 7 subscribers, which is pretty good considering it's only been out for 2.5 days, and some videos don't gain any subscribers. But it's got 22 watch hours, which, as it says, is above usual. The thing is it didn't get nearly as many as quickly. Usually I'll get 10, on a good video, I'll get, some of my best has been about 24 watch hours in the first day, and then it flattens. It just doesn't get any more. on a typical video, it'll get about like 12 watch hours. So this one got about 16 in the first day. But usually it's like it'll skyrocket up and then flatten out and then slowly trickle in. But if we go to things like engagement, it's got 3 minutes of average watch time, which, as it says, is 40 seconds more than normal. So it's usually 2 minutes 20 seconds. And it's got a few peaks, but like it's just a common trend down. So only 10% of people make it to the end of the video, which is, I don't know if that's my content's shit. Like, again, I'm making content for a very specific niche audience. Like, not my videos are bad, but just like they're not Mr. Beast videos where you watch them to the end regardless of who you are. These are like, if you clicked on this video and you went, oh, I don't care about Bevy, you're going to click away. You're not going to watch these videos unless you're actively interested. But it's just bizarre. Some videos was even more bizarre. React really well. I remember one video, I put like no effort into it. I did the hierarchy video, and it performed like twice as good as the average video. I wonder if it's still performing well. I just wonder if hierarchies are just one of those things that like everyone needs to understand them. Like they're a common enough topic that everyone wants to know about them, but they're just mystifying enough that you need to know to your specific engines. Like you can't look at Unity's hierarchies and apply all of that knowledge to Bevy's hierarchies. So the hierarchy video just did better. Where is it? Scenes. It's the same as I think I did like how to make a scene, how to save a scene. It's not doing as well now because I think it's not in any playlist, but it did so much better. Like look, its likes are just much higher than the other videos. Oh no, how to save a scene and how to make a scene. Like yeah, that's what I mean. Like how to make a scene has twice as many views as how to save a scene for some reason. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Commands. So hierarchy has to be there. Yeah, hierarchy. So that's what my problem was. I was looking at it going, it didn't do as well as the video below. The video below it is literally the one I'm talking about. Hierarchy, it just did so well. For some reason. Like it's got 90 likes. It's probably one of the most liked videos outside of my like entry videos. So yeah, so like what was I saying? So my first video or like the how to start something videos are like the most viewed videos. So the how to platformer and the how to start with Bevy and the Bevy ECS, they're the most popular, and obviously like it decreases with how far into the playlist you have to get. Obviously the migration guides and update videos tend to do better instantaneously. Like they'll get more watch hours in the first day, week, month than anything else, but they'll die like, in terms of like this one's got 700 and it probably got 700 reasonably quickly, 800 reasonably quickly. And then it just doesn't get any more. Whereas, this one's got 2,500 to 1.8. The hierarchy video's got just as many, being almost as old. But then I'll have like, so like these videos, they're all down to like 1,000. And it's like, it's not that my channel was smaller, because obviously it wasn't. It's just the content isn't as interesting, I guess. It's all very interesting. Got a copyright on that one. Yeah, so like, and then so obviously you got like your Bevy platformer is way more popular than anything else, and I think it's just because it's a starting video. People look up how to, and then watch the platformer, and then it's got 109 likes, 2 dislikes apparently. That's what I'm saying. Like for a middle of a series kind of video, the fact that it's got 90 likes is like, wow. The other one is that this one, again, is for some reason particularly interesting in that I've noticed early on the videos will be about 1 to 10 like ratio. So, if a video has 100 views, it'll probably have 10 likes. If it's got, 200 views, it might have 20 likes. And the more you get into it, so like by 1,000 views, you'll probably be looking at about 50 likes, because for whatever reason it just starts to sort of teeter off. I think partly because it's YouTube starting to branch out, so it's like when it's just my subscribers watching the videos, like, because we can go into this and get like quite in-depth stuff in the analytics, like audience. So about half the people watching this are my audience. When it's at like 90%, the like ratio will be way higher, which makes sense. They're people that like my content and they're not just random strangers coming in. But it's just, I find it interesting that like this video seems to have maintained its likedness. Like people are still liking this video at about a 1 to 10 ratio, whereas so there was a video with like 1,000 views and it's got 10 likes, sort of thing. Like it's just odd. I also just love how it's like so unpredictable what does well. I think my time video did well. I don't remember. I released it while I was on holidays. I think it was Bevy time. Yeah, 22 likes, 500 views. So it's not the best, but it did better than the previous 2 videos. But no, it's time is time. Yeah, so time's like 800, 23 likes. The thing that was interesting about time is that it was a video that I yeah, it says 100% male now. It says 23% male if I go the overall channel, but that's because I uploaded some shorts, and I think the shorts have a significantly higher female ratio simply because YouTube's showing them to a wider demographic. But this is what I mean. So like this one, within the first day, had 11 watch hours, and then it's by the day 4, it's got 15, and then it's like it just gained like 11 watch hours over like 2 months. So, and it's lost a subscriber. That's depressing. But like this video did surprisingly well for a video that I literally went on the subreddit, saw someone going like, "How do I do this thing with time?" And I went, "I'm going to do a video on time." Like it took me like 2 days to make this video. Like it was not a hard video, versus some of my other videos. Like I think this is the most depressing video. I did a short, which apparently 100% liked. It took me like 2-3 days of like writing I got the AI to write the script, like tweaking the script, coming up with the visuals, making a little like weird animation that springs out and fills the background, doing little things to try and make the video really cool, and voiceover and everything, and editing, and it's like 8:44 now, but it's like that's because it's been out for 3-4 months. And YouTube has this weird thing about shorts and just absolutely obliterating them. My favorite one, I'm showing my dad this one because it was really dumb, is this crab video. 5.5 thousand views. Most of them within the first 6 hours. The only thing about this video that made it really funny is that it got about 2,000 views in an hour, and then continued to get 20 views an hour, 20 views a minute for the next couple of hours, whereas all these videos got like 2,000 views in an hour, 1,000 views in an hour, and 1,000 views. Like they'll spend 4 or 5 hours getting a few hundred views, and then they'll get like 1,000 views in an hour, and that's it. They die. They like if you look at the like per minute curve, you see it like ramp up and then just die. But the crab video didn't. The crab video is the only video I've had that sort of maintained for a few hours a constant view rate. Anyway, we probably should get back to the project to talk about YouTube shit. I wanted to show you my analytics for my gender breakdown after doing shorts, because it just like, yeah, all my videos 100% male. Like, there's nothing like ever not 100% male about my videos. Audience. It's also funny because when I started doing shorts, my audience sort of broke up in that, like, it doesn't matter what time of day. For a very long time, there was a pretty solid Saturday, Sunday are the only days that my audience watched my content. Where is it? Yeah. So, gender breakdown. 28% female. But I'm pretty sure, like, most of that is, like, the crab videos. Like, if we go videos, it's 2% female. Shorts, it's 29% female. Like, I guess the shorts just get shown to more people. It's the same as if you get like the age breakdown. Almost everyone watching my videos is older than me. You go to shorts and it's a much more bell curve of like, this is just most people on YouTube are 25 apparently. Because like, and the reason I can break it like that and be pretty sure, first off, pretty obvious bell curve, or like normal distribution, and just the fact that none of my shorts are related to the content on my channel, which means that it's not like it's showing them specifically to my audience, whereas the videos, it's like almost all of it. If you're interested in open source, interested in game dev, interested in programming, you're probably not young. You're probably not super old. You know, they almost all fall into the same demographic. The only weird spike is... No, this is just weird, because there's 4% and the dot's smaller than the... Yeah. So nobody really old, nobody really young's watching my videos. But my shorts, almost perfect bell curve. So, I don't know. Back to working on Pong. So what were we doing? We were flipping the AI back around, because almost certainly the reason that the AI shot off in the wrong direction is because it had the wrong direction programmed into it. Because it was like it was staying flat, it was staying flat, it was staying flat, and then it flew away the opposite direction of the ball. So it's obviously got the wrong code in it. Excuse me, but again, you seem to have made the mistake of locking yourself into position. You at least moved in the right direction this time, but it was, Wait, what? What? P. Wait, am I grabbing the wrong player? Maybe that's what the problem is. Okay, play AI. So player's not moving, player's still not moving. Well, what I find interesting is that the player is apparently still not moving. Huh. Wait, what? How? What? What? I don't get it. What is going on? First off, why is the player always in the wrong spot? That is not where the player is located. The player should be moving constantly. So, I don't get it. P, player, pos to transform, query for the player, player one, nah. If player two, I don't, still in my head, not equal to player. Continue. So that means that, okay, so we need to do something like print line, debug print, player. Okay, by this point, it should only ever print player 2. So, you say like, I am player 2. Get the ball position equal to 0. Okay, well maybe not 0, because we want to follow the ball at all times. So we probably want to say something like neg x times like 1000. There. Now the targeted ball will always be off the side of the screen. And then, so it'll always target at least one ball. The issue is, if the ball is on the player side, it doesn't target it. Which could actually be the problem, is that it only moves towards the ball if it's on its side of the screen, which means that most of the time it just moves away. But you would think that would still make it target 0. It would move to the center if the ball was on the far side. Excuse me. So you've moved up. Hello. I'm not quite sure why my AI is broken. See, it's... wait. No, because I'm setting this delta back to 0. It's just not making any sense. Okay, well, I'm thinking we should probably swap this and say, okay, if ballpos dot y minus pos dot translation dot. Okay, no, wait. let error equal dot y. Okay. And then delta just equals error. Now this is stupid, but what I want to know is, I guess, the error. I just want to. It's gonna fire the ball at the speed of the fucking light. Pew! Mostly just because the ball is it's only supposed to give a delta between 0 and 1 and -1, and it's going pew. See, why do you think the error is staying exactly the same? Error is growing. Okay. So here's the problem. Why do you think P is... So I am player 2. Why are you always at 60? Because you're clearly not at 0. That's the problem. You're clearly not at 0. You're at the bottom of the screen. Also, how do you end up not being... Like... What? Player? Oh, don't fill that in. Like, I don't get it. The ball's obviously moving around. But why is the player always considered to be at 0, 64, 0, 0? That's my question. Like, why? More than one player too. Maybe? You're right, more than one player too. Because the this is where you were saying about that width. With paddle? No, what's it called? Must be public. Yeah. Okay. You're right. More than one player too. Because the goal also has a player too. I would have never caught that. Because I was just going like, there's no way there's a second player too, because we'd see the second paddle moving around. But it's like, well, that's not necessarily the case, because just because it doesn't have it's anything with a transform and a player 2, which the goal counts, because the goal has a transform and a player 2 to indicate that it's player 2's goal. Okay. That is why you don't just give it a free reign. But I am going to just give it a wider range. So I'm going to say if error is greater than, let's say, like 10, then self.delta okay, return like -1. Else, if error is less than 10, then return 1, and then else return 0. Okay. Okay. So the orientation may still be wrong, but it basically just means that the racket's not going to perpetually buzz. The other option is to say one more final thing and say abs less than like 0.1. So therefore, it'll start moving up until it's within 0.10. Like it won't start moving unless it has a great error, and then it'll stop I hate you. Why have you got a delta? Because it's going the wrong way. Because obviously the delta just continued to grow. The error continued to grow. Okay, so then I'm going to say else. So that means that I need to, first off, not set the delta out there. We need to set the delta at each individual step. Because what I'm doing is more or less boiling down to if error dot abs is less than like 1. Right. So basically, if the error is greater than 10, move into the error, like so. Oh. Great. It's not greater than 10. It's if the error is greater than 10, or if the error is less than negative 10. That you know. So basically, just boils down to if it's more than 10 units above if the ball is more than 10 units above you, move up to get to the ball. If the ball's more than 10 units below you, move down to get to the ball. Or I guess start moving down to get to the ball. And then only if you're within 1 unit of the ball, stop moving. So that should give it like inertia that once it starts moving, it'll keep moving until it's within 1 unit of the ball. And then once it's within 1 unit of the ball, it'll wait until the ball gets 10 units away, and then it'll follow. Should, just stop the racket from just buzzing in place. Okay. Pew. Hey. No. Oh, I'm losing to the AI. Now, I feel like this is an AI that can never lose because, it's got perfect reflexes. So one thing to do would, partly be like to stop the rackets from being able to get to the edge. If the rackets can't get to the edge of the board, then theoretically the way to beat the AI would be to try and sling the ball somewhere where the AI can't get to it in time. But actually, in theory, the AI can be defeated. Because the ball will continue to get faster. And as you can see, if you hit from the top to bottom, the AI cannot get there in time. So in theory, although tedious and time consuming, the AI in theory cannot so what you would need to do is probably hit the ball like that, because you want it to go down and then up. So if I can hit the ball like that again on the way down, okay, maybe one more time. If I can score a single point against this AI, I'll call this the easy AI. Damn, that's not going to work because it's just going to stay in place. I need to hit the ball down. But I need to hit the ball down from somewhere below. There we go. That's how you beat the AI. Okay. Anyway. I love it. Simple AI. Now we get rid of all that debugging code because we don't need to print this shit everywhere. So when we pick an opponent, we're gonna go to the menu. We're gonna go the opponent menu. Spawn opponent menu. Okay. And this is the absolute beauty of Belly. I don't have to do anything more than be all hey, this button here to here, here, paste. Okay, and this is going to be called, I don't know, gonna quickly go to Google and be make sure I spell it right. Man, the internet's fucking slow. I actually think it's the virus scanner. My virus scanner's decided that it just hates my computer and is going to use all the CPU all the time. This is going to be called the goalie AI. Okay. Let's bring that back up. All right, so we need to go back to our AI. And we need to go simple AI, copy, paste, and then we're going to call you okay, so usable mostly, usable almost flawlessly. There's like 3 things that I'm gonna say shit me off about Belly, and they primarily boil down to they haven't had enough requests to bother doing it yet, or they didn't have a use case. Because I literally brought one of them up and he goes, oh yeah, you can do it the way I'm doing it now. This, where basically, because I said to him like, oh, would it be possible to use a resource, like bind it so that when the button's pressed, the resource gets updated. And he goes, no, you can't do that, but you can just access the commands and say set, so you could in theory even read them. So you could be like world dot resource state opponent, right? So I could do this and be like match, maybe match opponent. No, we need to go here. Right, opponent dot 0. Okay, right. So I could do that, right? So I can read and then do something based on if you're a human or an AI when you click the AI button. Admittedly, in this case, it doesn't matter because I'm literally setting the opponent here. But the point behind that is that theoretically you can do anything. It's just not very computationally intelligent because it uses exclusive world access at the end of a stage to do calculation logic. So the only thing you really want to do in here is the bare minimum. You want to do all your logic out here that runs in parallel, and this is literally just set state, set state. Like, I already know what state I'm setting. Uncopy goalie. Like for example, love my brain. So we set state playing, but we want to go like this. We want to go like world dot resource. Well, I guess we just insert the resource. We like insert resource. AI brain. New. New goalie. Right, so we'll do that. And we're probably going to do the same thing up here, simply because if you escape and return, we're going to say this is new simple. Okay, then we need to go to AI brain. We need to go import AI brain. FN pub FN new. Anyway, back to my point that I was saying about Belly being usable is that I brought this up to them. They said, no, you can't do it at the moment. You might look into adding it. Like, and it's, to me, it's like, yeah, it's a great approach, because it's like, hey, we don't have it at the moment because we didn't have a use case for it. But, if there's a use case for it, we'll add it. Anyway, we just... Alright. Anyone have a guess of what the goalie AI is going to do? Okay. Yeah, Belly is pretty cool. My absolute love of Belly comes from the ESS file, because I'm one of those idiots that can't
picture shit in my head when I'm like writing code. So when I'm writing like styles for Rust stuff, like or Bevy stuff, I have like a style, and occasionally I'll make a constant one that I basically update. That then lets me like tweak and things that affect the whole lot. But Belly basically just puts that on steroids, and it's like, hey, if you want to change it, just update it in here, and we'll merge them and mix and match them and combine them based on what's above them and below. It's like, man, that's incredible, and it all works at runtime, which means that, I mean, as long as you enable that, but it means that if I'm going like, man, I don't know what this UI, I don't know what I want this UI to look like. No, the goalie's close to predicting where the balls are going to be. We'll get back to that in a second. But anyways, so like the fact that I can be like, I want the UI to have 3 windows, spawn the 3 windows, and then specify the size and position after the game is running when I've worked out what it's actually going to look like is just incredible. Anyway, no, the goalie is going to basically take a step backwards from the general AI, where we predict that the ball is always off the screen, and instead we're just going to go back to being 0. And we're going to say that if the ball is at 0, the ball is at 0. So in theory, the goalie is exactly the same as the simple AI, except for that one change. I might have to do other things to get the goalie to do, but you should be able to somewhat predict what the goalie is going to do now. The simplicity of it is just amazing. Also, we're going to come up here. I'm curious if we need to insert the AI. But we still probably need to swap this out just to being simple new. Okay, play goalie AI. So the goalie AI should, in theory... and yep, it works. Can you see what the goalie does? I don't know if the goalie would be considered smarter or worse than the simple one. But basically what the goalie does is he only chases the ball when it's in his half, otherwise he stays in the middle. The idea being you shouldn't be able to slam shot like I did the other one, because the reason the slam shot works is because the simple AI will chase the ball up and then the ball will go down really quickly. Whereas the goalie will stay in the middle until the ball basically has a fairly predicted path. So you can almost get it past the goalie because he just stayed still until it was mostly there. But that means that I lost the fucking goalie. Alright, anyway, we're going to swap this out for an AI brain. New simple. I don't think I even need the resource. Actually, I'm going to remove this and see if it crashes. It will, because unless you... Yep, no, we're going to go back here. Okay. It needs the simple because even if you click player 2, it still grabs the resource. So unless I made that resource optional. Anyway, so the goalie is just that he stays in the goal. That was the whole gimmick of the goalie. The other thing is, again, I can make the AI cheat by making the AI be able to move faster than the player. What else do I need? Get human delta. What I would love is to do networking, and I have a little project underway that I wish I knew how to use computers and networking and shit, because what it needs is a signaling server, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to pay to host a signaling server, and it doesn't seem like it's something you can just, like, there's no publicly available signaling server. And I also don't want to connect directly through IP, partly because I'm on Starlink, which means that my IP is an IPv6, which means like you literally like can't just type it in. Like you've got to do something funny to connect to IPv6s, and you can't get an IPv4 unless you pay extra. I'm not going to pay extra. But what would be really cool about this Pong is if I could put it on like itch.io with public matchmaking, something really dumb. You know, like just have it be like you can either enter in directly like a room code and verse a specific person, or connect randomly to someone and just play Pong online. I don't know why that just seems really, really dumb to me. But yeah, I need the signaling server, and that makes things hard. The other thing with the signaling server is apparently you need to be specific to the game, I guess. So it'd mean that I can't just have one signaling server between Pong and my other project that I'm working on. But I don't know how to do networking, so it's not like I'm going to do either anyway. What do we want to do now? Probably want to like something extra dumb. I think we'll go with the smart AI. And like you said, predict where the ball is going to be. So at the moment, the AI literally has no nothing like more. Like it literally just calculates where its delta is going to be. I would really, really love to have like the AI know what it's doing, like have some kind of predictive like mentality of like, does it attack, does it defend? But I feel like you would need like air hockey rules where like you're not stuck in that line, you can move anywhere in the net sort of thing, to give the AI more actual options. It's sort of like going like, I want to make a smart tic-tac-toe algorithm, and it's like, well, there's only one algorithm for tic-tac-toe, because otherwise you lose. So it becomes that whole like, there's only so smart you can make the AI. Anyway, what are we doing? So we're calculating where the ball is. I guess this one should cheat a little bit. Well, not necessarily cheat, but we want to go like, don't just grab the ball's transform, grab the ball's velocity. We should probably import the whole of Rapier then. Yes, Rapier Prelude, thank you. So this is going to be the one that you're saying, where it's going to try and predict where the ball is going to be. And I guess move to where it thinks the ball is going to be. I don't know how to do that though. Let's just go how to calculate intersection height. Okay, the height of a point of section. That does not help. It's got something to do with drawing a straight line. That is the question. So we have the vol and the speed. Okay, so we're gonna also need to go like that needs speed. And what is the? I'm assuming this is going to be F32 because I don't need to know its linear rotation, so we'll just go 0. Okay, so no, because this is obviously going to be a vec2. Vec2. 0. Alright, so okay, so basically if the ball's x is greater than this is going to keep the same goalie approach of don't do calculations unless the ball's actually going to be on your side, because there's no point calculating where the ball's going to intersect with you when it's traveling away. Speed dot what the fuck? Why does it say Linvel? It literally says linear right there. Why have I made a typo somewhere? Have I fucked around in here? Was this me? Oh no, it's linear value. Okay. What the fuck? Okay. Why is it just? Okay. That's just really dumb. All right, so we take the linear value. I feel like I'm going to need to draw this on a piece of paper, which is just going to end poorly because nobody can see me drawing on a piece of paper, and I hate drawing on my computer draw pad thing. I don't even have a pen apparently. What happened to all my pens? Alrighty. So if I have the velocity, we take the the x and the y component, and we divide the yeah, I mean that'll work. So first off, we only want it to run if so we got like ball speed dot, is it like magnitude length alias magnitude length squared, because we really don't care. Length computes this. No, so we need to know, I guess. Okay, so we go if, I guess the other thing, no, so instead of calculating the ball's x like that, we say if this, but we first check, we go if speed dot angle linval dot x is positive, is greater than 0. Right, there we go. So for those of you wondering, only if the ball is heading towards our goal will we bother. Otherwise, we don't bother. Okay. So then, to calculate, we need to say, well, first off, we need to know our goal position, which is difficult. That is difficult, isn't it? Well, no, it's not. We have ourself. Yeah, our pos. Okay, so so our pos. Not the ball's pos, our pos. Okay. Okay, so we need to say that let x underscore diff equal, it needs to be pos dot translation dot x minus ball pos. Dot x. Okay, so that, right, so we're always going to be like 600. If the ball's at 0, then it's 600. If the ball's at 10, then it's 590. If the ball's at negative 10, then it's 610. Yeah, that calculates the distance we need left. Okay. So error is going to not be ball height, but instead y diff. So we're going to say let y diff equal to do. Right, we're just going to leave that as a to do. And then we're going to say this one is y diff. Okay, so then we say like y diff, no, it's not really y diff, but it's target y. Okay, anyway, so then we say that let y steps equals equals x underscore diff divide by ball speed dot x. Right, so the number of steps it takes for the ball to get from its current position to us is the distance it has left to go by its y speed. Then we say let y diff. So I guess it would be ball pos plus y diff dot y plus y diff minus our y. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so y diff y. So y diff is equal to y steps times ball speed dot y. So basically we go how far's left on the x-axis. We then divide that by the speed of the x to work out how many steps are left before you hit the paddle, or would hit the paddle. Then we take the number of y steps and multiply it by the number of steps and multiply it by the y speed, because that's how long against the y you would move. We should probably then modulo that by the height, because in theory the x wouldn't change, but the y height would. So y diff is then let y diff equal y diff modulo. We don't know the height. Darn. We would have to query the window. Let window equal world.query filtered. We're going to need a reference to the window. Which means that this will break if you change the window size. So no changing the window size, you little cheaters. What do we want? We want main primary window dot window dot iter Okay, so can I dot single? Iter world dot first. Oh, with. Okay, so with dot as no op get single world. Okay, so now we have the window, and we say that this is modulo window dot height. Why modulo with the window height? Because, well, partly it'll give the player a chance, because it's not 100% analogous with the height of the actual game, which means that theoretically enough up and down bounces and the AI will be slightly confused. But the idea is that you take the y diff and you modulate by the window height, and that should tell you the number of bounces off the top and then off the bottom and then off the top, and so therefore what height it'll actually end at, rather than, if it's traveling up but it's about to hit a wall because it's traveling up quite quickly, just saying that it's going to be miles off the top when it's actually going to bounce and go down. So the smart should, in theory, avoid everything. In theory. Like, in theory, it should know where the ball is going to be without... Smart Pong AI. Okay, so we want to go menu, go down to here, and then just grab this button, go here, go paste, go new simple, no, new smart. Insert new smart, and there's going to be called smart. Okay. But again, it only makes a prediction when the ball is actively on the move. Okay, so we click play, we go smart. Wow. Wow, you see, it's not stupid, but... Ah, damn, it beat me. Beaten by my own AI. I also like that it slightly moves, because it's constantly repredicting a new height. But it means that... Right. We need to change that, don't we? See, it only makes the move when it's past halfway. That's not what it's supposed to do. It's only supposed to make the move when it's on the move. Let's go back to the AI quickly. So the smart AI... One thing we can do is move the ball's position way back. Which we may as well just do. The other option is to just not check. Just go, hey, if it's moving towards you. Okay, if it's moving towards you. And yeah, so okay, that means we just times this by 1000. Well, not exactly. We say negative z. No, negative x. Alright, so that just means that, like, find the ball that's the closest but not. So only calculate on the ball's moving towards you and pick whatever ball. You don't have to wait for it to be on your side. That seems to have stabilized the little shit, so it doesn't just vibrate anymore. So that's where it thinks it's going to be. Then it bounces off the roof and it goes, no, it's going to be over here. Well, it's smart. The question is, can I score a point on it? Apparently not. It may not actually be possible to score a point on it. Because it is kind of like actively predicting where the ball's going to be. Which... Okay. Anyway. Why did the game crash when I closed it? Okay. Let's... How did Temp get back? I deleted you. Where did you come from? Go away. Okay, anyway. You can stage all the changes. Yeah, remove temp, thank you. That is a change that I want. No, fuck off. Go away. Okay,
So we're changing. Okay, so we're gonna be like added AI. Okay. Hmm. Kind of want to make like the Pong more fun, but again, without like multiplayer, I feel like, well, like it's got multiplayer, but like without online multiplayer, a lot of the gimmicky fun stuff that you can add just becomes like it's going to be infuriating versus the AI with it. So I mean, we'll add power ups next time. I think I might call that today. Thanks for watching. It's been a lot of fun chatting with the people that were chatting. You know, giving advice about how to do different things in Bevy. I will at some point upload this code to GitHub. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested in actually messing around with it. If anyone has any AI, not AI. I mean, you can make pull requests for the AI if you want. If anyone's got any like network experience and knows of a way to do peer-to-peer connections that doesn't need a signaling server and preferably would work without me publicly giving my AI out to my IP out to people, that would be hugely appreciated, so that I could make this thing like multiplayer online and do like little matchmaking stuff. That'd be fun. Anyway, I'll see you all next time.